we all doing, everybody? Welcome along to Forever United TV, your Saturday evening show, smack bang in the middle of the international break. Hopefully you're enjoying the rest from the Premier League and the carnage, which is Manchester United, of course. But it doesn't stop. As you know, there's always news around United. Tonight, I want to talk about the possibility of United cashing in on Mason Greenwood and on Alvaro Fernandez Carreras. Whichever way you look at these deals, Manchester United, it's divided opinion amongst the Manchester United fan base. Let's just say that. I think that's a fair description of both of these transfers. But one thing that both of these transfers had was a sell-on clause, which does look possible this summer. All the details on that as well. Manchester United actively still in talks with representation of Jonathan Davies. We have got more updates on that as well. Manchester United have contacted Olympiacos. We have mentioned this name before. Bear with me a second. Here it comes. Charalampos Kostoulas, 17-year-old Greece international, under 21 international. Another 17-year-old. Yes, Manchester United now dipping into the Greek market to try and find their bargains as well this summer. More on that deal and where that's come about of as well. And obviously all of your inputs and your live chats in this evening show, everybody. We're back in the studio. We was on location this morning. Thank you for watching that show. We went into detail on the situation with Dalot and Rasmus Højlund, two more players that United may be looking to move on in the summer or not. Go watch that one back later as well. But I want to talk about the possibilities of Manchester United cashing in now and where stories have developed of Manchester United players that we sold last summer in Alvaro Fernandez, as we know, on the cheap to Benfica, which we could reap the rewards of now, and of course on Mason Greenwood. Now, if you are not subscribed to my other channel over on Football Talks, please do that. But on there, I did a video on Mason Greenwood and the so-called fallout. I'll start with Greenwood in tonight's show and give you the lowdown as to what is going on. Why am I talking about Greenwood? Why am I talking about United cashing in? Now, most Manchester United fans know, but if you don't, I'll just tell you again quickly at the start before we get into the detail. United sold Greenwood with a 50% sell-on clause in his contract, which means that if if Marseille did sell on Mason Greenwood, United could take a chunk of that money as well with the sell-on clause that they input into his contract when moving to Marseille. That was part of the deal. Same with Alvaro Fernandez as well in terms of what we can get from him. Obviously, he went for €6 million and we have got a sell-on clause 50% on him. His market value and release clause is above 40 million from Benfica. He comes next. But Mason Greenwood, why are we talking about this? This is a player that is, and I use this phrase all of the time, pulling up trees. He's absolutely smashing it over in Ligue 1 to a point where he is the second leading goal scorer in Ligue 1 behind only Ousmane Dembele of PSG, and we all know how good they are. Literally on one of the best runs of form in Europe right now, averaging over 4 goals a game in their domestic football. It is ridiculous, better than anybody else out there. Their only blip was that 1-0 defeat to Liverpool recently, which they overcome by beating Liverpool at Anfield anyway. So kind of shows you exactly where PSG are, and for Mason Greenwood only to be behind the likes of Ousmane Dembele, it tells you everything. Barcola as well, he's got more goals than him, who is pulling up trees at Marseille right now, at PSG, right now, and having a great season. Jonathan David, who we are going to talk about tonight, he's got more goals than him in Ligue 1. And that's saying something. We're actually talking about bringing in a player from Ligue 1 on a free in Jonathan David later on in the show, and talking about our former striker who we let go cheap because of off-the-field issues, who is now second leading goal scorer in the league. But he has been dropped by De Zerbi a couple of weeks ago for not putting in the right amount of efforts and the attitude, and what the words that described it was what De Zerbi won't accept in terms of his attitude to working harder like the rest of his team, part of that system that he likes to play. And we all know what type of football De Zerbi likes to play. It is very, very energetic, and Greenwood has fallen short of it towards the back end of the season. So he was dropped for one game. I did a video on Football Talks about this now being, is this now the same thing again? Is it Mason Greenwood not taking the opportunity that has been given to him, and it looked like he had done, but is he about to throw it all away again? And then, lo and behold, he's dropped for another game. He doesn't start the next game for for Marseille. And with them 2 games in place, he has actually still, and is still, performing better than most other forwards in the league right now, which goes to show what he's done so far. 15 goals in Ligue 1 for Mason Greenwood this season. He's had a fantastic season. And he's not been playing the last 2 games because De Zerbi's had a fallout with him and he is putting him in his place, basically. But it has led to a lot of rumours of Manchester United looking to cash in on Mason Greenwood, possibly, with Marseille looking to move him on. If this doesn't get rectified and Mason Greenwood's and De Zerbi's so-called standoff, look, the details of it I am not fully in the know of. I just know that he is now not playing games because De Zerbi has come out and said this. So it is a factual event and it has happened. And why would you be dropping your leading goal scorer, the second highest goal scorer in the league? Why would he not be in the games? Because De Zerbi is all about his system. He's a system manager, and if you're not working and you're part of that system, you're a cog in that system, and you're not doing your job, it doesn't matter. You're out of the side. Simples. So that's the situation right now. But it has led to rumours that Manchester United could benefit from Marseille moving Greenwood on, with big clubs circulating around Mason Greenwood, namely one of them being Barcelona. And obviously Mason Greenwood is, he probably is going to be on the cheap. I mean, his market value right now is 30 million quid. It's probably going to be more if Marseille are going to sell him. But Marseille also know if they want to cash in and get the maximum value out of Mason Greenwood, then they are going to have to charge, they're going to have to charge someone a higher price. So for instance, if they wanted to get 20 million out of this, they're going to have to sell him for 40. Because United take 50% in the sell-on clause. And this is where United really do cash in. And them clever little clauses that we installed into these player sales, like Alvaro and Greenwood, and a few other players, in fact, as well, are now actually coming home, and they could actually be activated this summer. That's the stories going around the European side of things anyway, and what's going on there. It's simply because Mason Greenwood has been now left out of the side at Marseille, in which he's done so well in this season, and it does look like it's probably a little bit more serious than first thought. No, Greenwood is not in the international fold, as we know. He's not going to get anywhere near England. In fact, changing allegiances to Jamaica, I think it is. I've not looked into that detail too much. I've just seen that story doing the rounds. But really, he's never going to play for. He was never going to play for England again anyway. So he's got plenty of time to speak to De Zerbi and go through this. But United really could be beneficiaries of a situation that's developed there. And if Greenwood is moved on and some of the bigger hitters do come in for him, then United really could cash in. And that 27 million that we got could turn into something more substantial. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Mason Greenwood. I will come into the comment section in just a moment, but first of all, I want to get into Alvaro Fernandez Carreras as well, in terms of what's happening with him there. Now, obviously, United had the opportunity to go in and buy Alvaro with that buyback clause at just a cheap price. They could have added the 50% sell-on clause to that and got him really cheap. So United could have taken him back for 16 million, then used that 50% sell-on clause and knocked that down to just 8 million. We could have had Alvaro Fernandez in at 8 million, basically, is what we're saying. We didn't take the opportunity, which kind of shows that Manchester United didn't want Alvaro. He wasn't fitting into what Ruben thought of as a left-hand-sided wing-back. He went for Dorgu, as we know. United now look forward to, obviously, Benfica cashing in on Alvaro. And what is happening now is Atletico are now in. Simeone has made him his top target this summer. And that's the report coming out from Portugal right now, that Simeone is very, very keen on taking him to Atletico. And I think it would be a fantastic fit for him there as well. And there is a link there between Atletico and Benfica in previous years as well. So really, when you look at it, if Simeone wants Alvaro, this could be quids in for Manchester United again in terms of what we could actually get out of this deal. So realistically, breaking both of them deals down, what United could do, and we could be cashing in around an extra 30 million quid for players that are not even in our squad right now because of deals that were put in place in this last transfer window, summer just gone, that could really benefit Manchester United. So that, I think, is what is really interesting in all of this, and the circumstances between both players. Obviously, Alvaro is a top left back now, and he's absolutely smashing it in Portugal. I think he's featured, he's made 41 appearances this season for Benfica. He is a first team regular, and he's absolutely destroying it. At 21, it's the perfect player for someone like Simeone. His work rate is phenomenal, and he would fit in like a glove in Madrid there. So that, I think, is something that will be pushed, and he would be a massive positive for Manchester United in the summer. Look, we're not going to go and get him. We've missed our chance. Well, we haven't missed it. We could go back in for him. And I'd love to know if you guys think we should be going back in for Alvaro at that price. But we've got Dorgu. We've obviously got Leon coming through. I can't see us going for any more left-sided players this summer anyway. And if Atletico do come in, then Manchester United still cash in and we take the prize. Well, we take a little bit more money anyway. But any money right now is absolutely gold for Manchester United. So that, I feel, is exactly where the clever business that United would never do before is there for everybody to see now. And I think this is the new footballing structure that's in place. We don't want to really be letting go of the best talents that we have had at our academy for a long time. Alvaro Fernandez was Young Player of the Year, Under-21s Player of the Year at United and at Preston, then did well on loan as well before we even released him full-time to Benfica. And now we're looking at a player that we couldn't use, that we could really cash in on and get a little bit more money for, which is probably more to where we should have been getting in terms of how much we should have got for Alvaro Fernandez. We should have really cashed in on him. He was an absolute talent. So, yeah, that's the situation with him. And Mason Greenwood, obviously, he's a no-brainer. We know the talent this kid has got. He could be one of the best forwards on the planet, Mason Greenwood, if he put his mind to it. And I think one of the bigger clubs, with him still being in his early 20s as well, will go and take a chance on Mason Greenwood. And someone like Barcelona could easily go in and take him away. He has absolutely smashed it at Marseille this season so far. And hopefully for Manchester United's sake, he does actually keep on smashing it. And Marseille can't keep hold of him. I think this is what Man United's structure was hoping. We wanted to keep these players. We're fresh in. We don't know the full scenario. We're only listening to what people are saying. So let's safeguard ourselves and let's put in that release clause and let's give ourselves a chance of bringing in a little bit more money if this deal does actually go a little bit more. If he's moved on from that club buying him, which obviously was Marseille and Benfica respectively. So yeah, I just look at this and go, again, proof that Manchester United's football structure is doing a job and we're actually in a decent position. So I'm happy with if these players move on and we take money from them, it's good business for Manchester United. And again, I wanted to just make the opening to this show about Manchester United actively doing okay in certain departments. Amongst the doom and gloom, as always, we have got ourselves a decent staff now when it comes to people who know what they're doing in their roles around the director of football, scouting and recruitment side of things. And the running of the club football-wise is looking a lot healthier for Manchester United. If we get more deals like this coming through for into the future, then it looks a little bit brighter for us right now. So yeah, let's look at that and let's go into the future of these recruitment and these transfer windows with a bit of a positive outlook, because this really does hit the mark for Manchester United. And in the summer when we've got no guarantee we're going to have any European football or extra money coming in from anything else that season, with not having the gate receipts for European football and the riches that come with all of the European competitions, any extra money made in the recruitment side of things is gold dust for Manchester United. And I think this will put us in a half-decent position, let's just say that, going forward. Anyway, into the comments we go on this one. Should we have let either of them go? Some people would argue that we should still have both of these players at Manchester United. Simple as. Let's get some more comments on this. If the sell-on clause is not 50% of any profit, instead 50% of the total. In Alvaro's case, I think it's of the profit. So I reckon in terms of the numbers going around and what actually these players could be sold for instance, i.e. 40 million, I think Manchester United tend to make about an extra 30 million on top of that. I read an article that came out which said that, I think it was Ty Marshall from the MEN as well, reckons if United were on the end of Mason Greenwood being sold by Marseille, for instance, for 13 million, I think that's of the total, because they're saying, and their quote was that United would benefit and get 15 million if Marseille sold him for 30 million. So I think in Mason Greenwood's case, it is of the total. In terms of Alvaro Fernandez, it's more of a profit margin thing, Patrick, just for that comment there, because we have gone through that before with Alvaro. But United, look, it's another 30 million. It could have been more. Yes, of course it could, but still, 30 million more for Manchester United this summer is definitely a bonus for us, and I'm taking it all day long, especially with 2 players that we've actually already sold and making money off them as well. Decent business. And this is what every football club does. Every Premier League club does this anyway, especially teams at the bottom where we are. Bloody hell. And this is how you survive. This is how you make extra money. You've got to put in the extra when it comes to selling players. This is something United never did. We never had release clauses. We never had sell-on or buyback clauses at all. And when you think about it, this is how a lot of clubs have actually operated. Real Madrid have done the sell-on and the buyback clause situation when selling their younger players as well, because it benefits them. It's like an expensive loan sort of thing. They go out, yes, the players have been sold and they could have got more for them, but the buybacks and the sell-ons kind of counteract it. So it's not an official loan as such, it's selling a player, but because they don't want to use up all of their loans, because you can only use a certain amount of loans, i.e. send only a certain amount of number of players out on loan before you get cut off. So they sell these players with all of the clauses and actually find a way to bring them back if they want to, or when they're sold on when they're doing great guns, they get extra money coming in. And this is how it works. Manchester United are a million years behind everybody else when it comes to this sort of thing. And only now, and proof again, like I said, that the structure that's just come in the summer already making waves for Manchester United and actually benefiting us in the transfer market where we've been left behind. We're playing catch-up. We're very slow, but we are getting there. And I think sooner or later, I think every deal that Manchester United do, we won't have any complaints about. We won't be ripped off. We'll walk away from deals. We'll have clauses in every single contract, and players sold will be for the right value, and the players coming in, we will pay the right amount of money for them, and market value will start to creep in for Manchester United as it goes along. So, yeah, I'm happy with this. If they both get sold, then great, because we need the money, let's be honest. We desperately need the money. And if it makes the difference from bringing in a quality player for Ruben Amorim in the summer, and it doesn't, then, yeah, we should all be looking at these and hoping that Benfica and both Marseille are struggling to hold on to these players because they're doing so well. It narks us. It's annoying because we have 2 academy players there that are now killing it, doing well elsewhere in their early 20s. Why are they not at United? Well, obviously Greenwood, we know why. But Alvaro and all these younger players that do better when they leave United, look, this is the problem that we've got right now. The atmosphere, environment around Old Trafford and Manchester United that is changing ever changing, is for the better as well. And we are moving forward in terms of football culture. But we have missed out. We have missed out badly through our poor running of this football club. And 2 examples here straight away. Different to what we would have had before under the old structure. We would have never had anything like this. Then players would have been sold, gone, and we wouldn't have made anything in the future. And that's the truth. It's exactly where we're at with it anyway. Let's move on and get some more comments in. We should have bought back Alvaro for 8 million and sold him directly to Atletico for 20 million. Probably could have sold him more. I decided not to bother, mates. Oh, and someone's talking about going somewhere. I'm Modern Samurais in the chat as well. Good to see plenty of the mods in as well. Keep your comments coming in. Loads of members in as well. Stu's in. Modern Real Recognise he's in as well. Let's get some more. Andrew says, we don't move quick enough when it comes to selling and buying players. Maybe we will start, Andrew, too. Maybe we'll start to be a little bit more quicker and get off the mark with some of these deals. I think that's what we've got to look at right now. Things are changing at United. And like I've said on many a show before, we're actively talking to clubs now, trying to get deals done before the transfer window opens. So, realistically, could we see that changing, Andrew, is what we're saying right now. I know what you're saying. We have been very slow, and it's been dire, hasn't it? I totally get where you're coming from with that, and I agree. I think now is different, no. So let's just see what happens, because last summer we were off the mark. We got deals done, and we didn't get taken for a ride. More of that, please, with some extra juice on top of it. United might actually make some waves this summer in the market. And again, I've said this before, the fact, when you look at it and say, if United are not in Europe, for instance, I'm really looking forward to seeing how we go into the transfer market, because it would make United do something that we've never done before. And that's what I want to see. I want to see real change at Manchester United, and it will be if we're not in Europe, because we have to recruit, because Ineos have dropped themselves in it with that mistake in keeping Ten Hag and bringing Ruben Amorim in mid-season. They have to back him. So to back him, the sacrifices, like I talked about in the morning show about Rasmus and Dalot, have to happen. And this all comes into the same conversation. Sacrifices alongside good recruitment is how Manchester United's transfer window will go in the summer if we don't qualify for the Champions League next season. And that, as painful as it is for all Man United fans not to be in Europe at all next season, should excite you in a way, because it's forcing United into a corner and they're going to have to react in a different way. And sacrifices, which I don't think any Manchester United fan will have an issue with, will happen on that playing staff this summer. So let's see what comes of that. Andrew Short. Hello, Andrew. Hope you're doing good, mate. Adam, what's the danger of Rashford coming back? I don't think Rashford is doing well enough for Villa, paying 40 million. Obviously, we said this morning, Tuchel's called him out. Not enough. Him and Foden, poor seasons for both of them players, obviously. Danger of Rashford coming back? Of course, he has to come back. There is no obligation to Aston Villa for Marcus Rashford to come back to. So it's all on Manchester United, hoping that Villa want to take him on. Rashford has to do more. And I think, and you know what? This could be a blessing in disguise, Andrew, because Rashford not doing well and Tuchel coming out and saying something like, how many more people is he going to upset? Like, he's obviously, he's gone against Ruben Amorim. He's gone against other managers at Manchester United. He's got his move, his so-called move. He's happy under Emery, but Emery's still not playing him from the start in every single game. He's got what he wanted. He got into the England squad. He started a game. I mean, for God's sake, he doesn't warrant starting a game, does he? But he's got in. He's in that team, and he's not done well. It's like, seriously, Rashford, across the face. Metaphorically, not realistically. But you know what I mean? It's like, someone get a grip of this lad and shake him down. Like, how many more times do you need telling? Do more. Get your ass in gear and seriously try and salvage your career, because you're not going to be on that plane to the USA in 2026 playing the way you're playing. And now Tuchel, who has got the sole purpose of winning that World Cup, has come out and said that you are not at it. Do more, mate. Honestly, there's nowhere else for him to hide. So let's see, Andrew. Let's see what he does from this, because you're right. He hasn't done enough to warrant a 40 million move from Villa yet. But Manchester United are obviously holding out that he's actually going to be worth more, because he's got into that international fold. But when you get comments like that from the England manager, you tend to worry like, oh, well, actually, maybe we're not going to make that much money off him in the first place. So, yeah, I don't see it yet, mate. But I've still got that hope. Like, that real kick up the arse for him was there in midweek. Sorry, it was there yesterday against Albania, and Tuchel telling him, there's nobody else. There's nobody else. You're not getting picked for your team every single week. You're in line in the squad. You've been thrown out by Manchester United, your club that you've been at for years. And now the England manager, having got you back in and you thinking that you'd actually made it again, has called you out. Yeah, we'll see. United Spotlighting with a chat says, we have clearly totally changed recruitment-wise, and it's for the better. We needed this years ago. 100% agree with that comment, Carl. I'm with you. I am actually looking forward, in a way. I just said it a moment ago, but I'll say it again. If you are just trying to figure out what I mean by it, I don't want to be out of Europe, but I'm excited to see what United would do in a transfer window if they didn't have European football. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. And I feel like this summer is going to be huge, and we are going to see the real teeth of this recruitment team, because it's been good so far, and I still cannot find anything wrong with what they've done in the transfer market so far. I honestly can't. We could have got other players, yes. Xerxes, you could argue to a point, but he is getting better. I don't even think anybody knew what was happening with Xerxes. Like, I think that was a Dan Ashworth and Ten Hag complete balls up. And yeah, both of them have left the club right now. So that again, like, even Xerxes doing a little bit better right now. But good recruitment, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens this summer as well. Could Jonathan David be one of them players at Manchester United? As you can see, going across the bottom of your screen there are reports coming out, and more reports today coming out from a few different sources, that Manchester United have got several officials actively engaging in conversations for the potential summer move for Jonathan David. Now, these conversations will be, look, if we're not in Europe, we still want to take you. And I think that Manchester United, I've said this before, we've talked about how clever, and the opening of the show was about the clauses and how Manchester United could benefit from certain players like Alvaro Fernandez and Mason Greenwood being sold on later down the line. The clauses that have been put into these contracts have helped that. Could there be another clause in with the Jonathan David contract, as in, if you're not playing in Champions League football in 2 years' time, we won't stop anybody coming in and taking you away and you being sold to a certain other club. Look, there's a deal like that in place for Victor Gyökeres from Sporting right now. After 2 years of the deal at Sporting, which is this summer, then there are certain clubs that if they come in with the release clause that we want, they can take you. We're not going to stand in your way. This is how clever you have to be. United were a million miles off that for years, and now we're back in the game. So I do think United have got a chance of getting Jonathan David, and he has to be a must for United right now. A free transfer of that quality, you're pulling out all of the stops. You are doing everything you possibly can to bring in a proven quality player like that into the side for nothing. And you could keep Rasmus Højlund then if you wanted as a number 2. This is what it opens up for United. This is how this recruitment team will approach it, I feel. And I think that this gives an opportunity to so many. Obviously, you've got a target man. You've got someone who'll take the chances. You've got someone with a proven record, someone whose work rate is outstanding for club and country and works in that intensity factor for and what Ruben Amorim needs. He's got the physicality. He knows how to handle himself. He's played at the highest level, as in Champions League, scoring goals against Juventus, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid this season. Top player. And he would be an absolute steal for Manchester United. And they have to make that happen. That has to be something that United are working on right now. And if there is a release in his contract down the line, give him that opportunity. Back yourselves. Back the recruitment. Back Ruben Amorim. Because I think we will be in the Champions League in another couple of seasons. If you give Ruben the tools, he will get you there. And then just get Ruben involved. Like, convince Jonathan David that this is the football club for you. This is what we need to do. And I think that this is what we will be doing going into deals and negotiations with the likes of Jonathan David, because we are up against it. We've said this before. We are completely up against it when it comes to this transfer market this summer, and we're going to have to go above and beyond. And I think work is going on right now. When I see stories like this, and I see Manchester United have got several representatives talking to Jonathan David, going through possibles with him, I just look at that and go, that's exactly where United need to be in March. Get into this man and get this deal done. Like, convince him. You should be all over it. Then we know that there's loads of other clubs involved in this, and there's other clubs that want Jonathan David. Who wouldn't? Let's be clear. A talent like that, you've got to be able to get yourself in there negotiating for him. So that is where we're up to with Jonathan David right now. A player United clearly want, a player United are trying to negotiate in now, ready for the season ahead, and I think that is crucial for us, and that's what we can get excited about as United fans. Decent recruitment team, decent wages, transfer fees, and everything like that going forward, and a sporting director who knows about football, who knows about deals, who knows how to get the best out of transfers and loans and everything else that's involved in football. Getting the perfect loan deal, negotiating these contracts with clauses and breaks and bonuses and incentives, certain things, looking deep into the future. Not a player that used to be brilliant. You can come in at the age of 31, 32 and in an absolute fortune for 3 years with no jeopardy whatsoever in that deal. That's what United used to be like. That's what we had with the likes of Falcao, Di Maria, Cavani, Zlatan, all of these players, Schweinsteiger, players that were great in their day, but United bought at the wrong time. That's what we used to be like. Now we're looking at the right age players on the right deals, the right wages, the right transfer fees at the right time for United. And this is what sporting directors and structures have. Something that we've never had and not had for bleeding decades, it seems. It seems that long anyway. Let's get into the chat on this one. Are you having Jonathan David, people? Come on. Talk to me. Better teams will get better players, but we must look at the right players before they soak for the so-called better players. The right players, Joe, are the ones that fit the system. And it's all about the system. Ruben Amorim works with a team that want to work for him. The structure knows that. The people at United know that. And that's the way that United will go into this transfer window this summer. 100%. That's how we have to do it. And I think that's what will happen for United. Trashford will be picking up rubbish at the new stadium, says Robert. Kieran says, can't we give Tuchel £1 million to just say nice things about Rashford just until we get him sold, please? Unfortunately, he is on a tighter schedule and contract than Ruben Amorim, I'm afraid, and he needs to win that World Cup. He's been brought in on one of the shortest contracts ever for a manager with one purpose, to pick up that trophy. So, yes, that's what it's all about. So we're not going to get any favours off Thomas, are we? Markesh says, I don't think the transfer window is relying on European football. The list of players incoming is set. European football will add a couple more from the list. That's all. Look, United will have their negotiations ready and their sale pitches ready for certain players. Certain players will want to be in the Champions League, and we just won't go near them. And we'll know already, probably, from contacting the right agents for each individual player. So that, I think, I think that's already set in stone. And I think we will be seeing who them players are as we go to, like I've said before, the back end of this season, because we'll know what type of players that United are going for if we drop out of Europe. If we lose to Lyon, expect the transfer rumours to go through the roof, because United will know exactly what they've got to work with financially and the type of players that they have earmarked for that financial pot. Like they would if we got in the Champions League by winning the Europa League, there'll be certain players we could go a little bit more with and get a better deal for them. Players like, and I'm going to say this name right again, Olympiakos' 17-year-old Charalampos Kostoulas, a 17-year-old who plays in the Greek league. Now, this would be a player I think United would go for no matter what. Champions League or not in the Champions League next season. This is a player that United will be all over. And you only have to look at him. Centre forward, right wing, anchor midfield. He's played all over. He's an attacking player. A dynamic, energetic, attacking player. Are they not the words and the description of profile of player that Manchester United, according to reports recently, are looking for? Yes, they are. Goal involvements this season, 13, 11 goals and 2 assists. Very, very good player, obviously, in Greece. And he's mixing it up. He plays centrally normally, but can play all over. But look, he played in the Europa League. They didn't fare too badly in the Europa League. I mean, they got 5 wins. And do you know what? They're an all right side, Olympiacos. They give a few teams a hard game, don't they? But let's be clear on this one here. The levels are completely different. I'm not going to big up a player for the sake of it. I'm talking about a player here that United are looking at because of, there it is again, the recruitment team. And this is where I feel United will be going down. It's not featured internationally yet. His market value is €8 million. United can get him cheap. This is what we're doing. We're finding that younger talent that really should be still playing at academy level football that has already made it through. How many teenagers have I mentioned on shows just this season alone that Manchester United could be looking to go in and get in the transfer window in the summer? You can roll them off. Hackney, Rigg, Bellingham, Diblin, Kendo he was going for. We're bringing in Leon already. We're looking at Argentinian centre-backs. There's so many teenagers that United are looking at. They're tapping into every single market in Europe like we should be doing, like we needed to do for years. But we've arrogantly gone into transfer windows and just gone in there blind thinking we are United, we can click because, yeah, we can do things that teams can only dream of in the transfer window. Bollocks. You destroyed this football club. And that was the start of the end for Manchester, the beginning of the end for Manchester United, the Woodward era. And this is what we've got now. It's about time. It's took an absolute disaster class to get us to this point, and our worst ever Premier League season to get us to this point. But at least we're bleeding there now anyway. That's all we can say. One thing I can say as well, though, is that we just went over 200 likes. So mega. Thank you, everybody. Over 1,000 in the room on the Saturday evening show. Love that, especially on an international break as well. You want your United fix? I can tell you're all missing it right now. That's why you're in here. Get your comments in the live section, people. Talk to me. Give me your opinions on everything. Anyone I've missed that you may like coming into Manchester United? Talk to me, everybody. Let's just see. We can't what's that? We can't keep, I think we're supposed to say there. Buying potential, we need experience. Too much potential is bad, and experience will cost money, which the board is not willing to spend. That's why you go and buy Jonathan David. Exactly why you buy Jonathan David. Then you've got an experienced spine of a side. You got De Ligt in there, you got Bruno in there, you've got Jonathan David in there. Now, it starts to look a little bit better, doesn't it? And that really, I think, is what United need to work off. Get in your young talents. I ain't got a problem with that, but it does need to be mixed up with a little bit of quality as well. And I think United will be going. Look, if we can get Jonathan David, we can definitely attract the likes of Edison. We can put him on a similar deal. United's relationship with Atalanta is outstanding, obviously, because we've bought players off them before. They've had our pants down for players before. I don't think it'll be the same under the new structure, like I've said before. We're never going to be ripped off with this team that we've got in place now for recruitment. But still, I think we could get Edison from Atalanta in the summer. And I think that would be your ultimate right there. Edison, Davies up front, and then you add some quality young players to that. That's a fantastic transfer window. And that's exactly where Manchester United should be when it comes to what we're looking for this summer. A mix, a blend of everything. Make sure that you do go check out the other content from this morning as well on Dalot and Højlund and what we're saying about them two. And also go and check out, which many of you are starting to do as well now, the content from Old Trafford on Friday evening. Where I did a full breakdown of Old Trafford and the new era of Old Trafford and what is going to happen, what's going to be there, what's not going to be there. Go watch that video back after the live show as well, everybody, please. It is an eye-opener just to see the surrounding area of Old Trafford and where things are going to develop and where the stadium's actually going to be. I actually picked my spot out where I would sit in the new stadium on the car park in Old Trafford. So yeah, go watch that back. It was a good and hard to film, but still a bit of different content for you all there as well. Adam, I hope you're well. And got to home 2 hours ago from my trip away. Adam, good for you, mate. Hope you had a good one, pal. We can't bring 5 or 6 youngsters and expect an instant impact. We need some experience in there as well. Amorim needs results now, not in 5 years. Hopefully, the scouts do their job. Look, Ruben is holding out. I'm telling you right now, he's holding out that Mason Mount stays fit. Honestly, he thinks he can do. I think if Mason Mount comes back into this side this season and features and then gets injured again, I think it will be a massive reality check for Ruben Amorim. And I expect United to buy even more players in the transfer window. I do. I think that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at more players coming in because Ruben feels like, and he's only just getting used to Manchester United. What's he been in? 3 months. Just coming up to 4 months now, actually. And he's got a good grasp of what Manchester United's injury record is and what the history at Manchester United has been with injuries and the players that are constantly injured all of the time. It's great that Mason Mount is back now because if he does break down before the season ends again and he's out injured again, then Ruben is going to look to the board and say, what? I cannot work with this. I cannot work with this. This is impossible. But again, then you're not going to be able to move a player on like Mason Mount. He's the biggest problem we've got right now, in that we've got a quality player that we can't get on the pitch. He's costing us a fortune in wages because of the shit recruitment that we had before, and nobody's going to want to buy him because he's injury prone, and no one can rely on him. And that's the issue that Manchester United have got. And I don't think we're going to be able to ever see the best out of Mason Mount, either selling him or getting the best out of him on the pitch. Look, I pray I'm completely wrong. Ideal scenario for me would be Mason Mount as an absolute blinder from now until the end of the season, and Manchester United could possibly send him out on loan at the end of the season and get some money for him and bring somebody else in with his wages covered. That's what I'm hoping, because I know I cannot, and I'm giving up. As much as I want to see him, I know we cannot rely on Mason Mount. His injury record speaks for itself. He'll be going into his 3rd season, and he's hardly had, 17 starts in 2 seasons? I mean, Jesus. No, that's the ideal scenario for me, is that Mason Mount does well from now until the end of the season, and we have the opportunity to move him on. I think that's what we're all looking for, aren't we? Does anyone actually feel like Mason Mount can stay in the side and then be continuously playing next season again? I don't see it. I don't see it. Let's get some more comments in on this one. Already a red flag on Amorim. That's he rates Mount. Look, Mount is a good player. He's just never fit. Ruben Amorim isn't rating Mount on his record of injuries and what he is available-wise. I think he's rating him on the player, and he works in an Amorim system. He does. We know this. Adam, you've aged about 10 years since the last time we spoke, says Shiva. I can't remember the last time we spoke. Do I look that bad? Well, I think anybody watching United and wearing the heart on the sleeve like I do, or if you are that type of fan, you would probably feel like you were already buried by this football team right now. So I've got a good excuse if I don't look great. That is. But we will see if United can make me feel better. That's all I care about right now. Looks have given up on. I'm just hoping for the feel-good factor coming back more than anything right now. We're actually creeping up nearly 250 likes in, everyone. Please keep liking the video. Make sure you get your comments in. Make sure you have also subscribed to Forever United TV. We are less than 200 away from 75k, everyone. Be part of the journey. Join the FUTV army, everybody. Hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit the bell notification button as well for the most diverse and different type of Man United content out there. Yes, we do all of these update shows and we bring you the depth of the stories that not many people like to talk about, but we get out and about and we do the content everywhere. So you know it's different on this channel and you know it makes sense. Hit the subscribe button, people, and get involved in the chats. You believe Mount will perform better next season? No, Amir, I don't. If he stays fit, yeah, of course. But anything's better than everything we've seen before for Mason Mount right now. Being out on the pitch is better than what we've ever seen from Mason Mount. So there isn't really a high bar to measure him off, is there, with Mason Mount? Just being there in the United shirt is probably the best that we could actually hope for Mason Mount. Performance-wise, look, I don't know. I have no idea what Mason Mount's going to do if he stays fit. I hope hopefully he brings back the Champions League Chelsea winning form when he was scoring and having 20 to 30 goal involvements for about 2 or 3 seasons in a row. I want that Mason Mount. That's the one I thought we was buying. But with poor recruitment and not looking into this deal properly, that's it. We got stung again, as we always do. Adam, just forget about Mount. He is finished as a footballer, sad as it may seem. Look, we can't forget about him because he's costing us $250,000 a week. So something has to happen. And hopefully they do get something out of him so we can be moved on in the summer. That's all I want. Go out there, have a great end to the season, and then maybe United can do something going into the summer with him. I think that's the best thing that can happen for Mason Mount right now. Modern Samurai in there saying like, subscribe, and comments. Get them in there, people. Mount out for 3 months with a PlayStation Fun, says Michael Vine. Mount is the biggest waste of money flop of all time. I wanted Barella. Welsh man forever with a super chat. Thank you, mate. It says, don't blame Mount and Shaw. Blame the medical team for not doing a good job, not doing a good recovery program for players that gets injuries. I blame the recruitment team for not looking into Mason Mount's injury record before he came in with the chronic hip issue that he had that kept him out for the last quarter or last third of the season for Chelsea before we signed him. Absolute brain dead. And then going in and bidding the exact price that Chelsea wanted straight away for him and not even haggling has left us with a situation where he's on $250,000 a week. He gets the number 7 shirt and we spent a fortune on him. Honestly, that window it destroys me. When I look back at that window, I'm absolutely finished. Finished, honestly. But that's United. That's the old United. But like I said at the top of the show, that hopefully has changed now, and we are going to see a new Manchester United. Look, that pretty much is your update for Saturday evening, everybody. Go chill, go relax, go and do what you got to do. If you're going out, have a great evening, everyone. Please, all I ask you to do is drop a like on the video before you leave. Get your comments in the comment section below. Go and check out the contents from Friday and earlier on this morning as well, everybody. A little bit different on both of them videos for you. And we are then building up, going through the rest of the weekend, leading into what is a huge weekend ahead for Manchester United, even though we play on a Tuesday against Nottingham Forest. But still, it is the start of a bumper period of games for Manchester United with all repercussions and implications involved in all of them. And we are building up to that. What a quick week that was for International Week. Back tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock with your Sunday paper update and rounds with all the United news, followed by football talks for the actual paper round after that tomorrow as well. Have a great evening, everybody. Thank you, mods and members, for helping out. Thank you for all the contributions and comments while live. Get them in now in the comment section as well. I'll see you all in the morning.